This CEO just published a manual on which employees to cut in the AI era, categorized his employees into 3 buckets, and then picked one to cut. He ended up cutting middle managers and what he called as support functions. He laid off 20% of his staff despite a record 30% business growth. I know other CEOs have been discussing this. This has been circulated to them as well. And your CEO may expect you to conform to one of these buckets as well. Do not fall for this trap that will cost you your wealth and health. I know this because I've been myth-busting productivity for executives for over 2 decades, including the research mentioned in this manual, across industries and the leading brand names in Fortune 50 companies. Watch this video if you want to understand the research to myth-bust, the game being played here, and how do you play your game that not only saves your career right now, but also for the future in the AI era. In this video, we're going to cover 3 things. By the end of this video, you'll understand number 1, the worker ant trap that this manual evangelizes and that your CEO will also want you to be in. Research that most have not heard of, but what I use to myth bust this trap, as well as an alternative that not only works for you, but also for your company. And lastly, based on these insights, what do you need to build right now to survive and thrive in the AI era? So this CEO is Cloudflare CEO, a very prominent tech company. He laid off 20% of his workforce after having a record 30% business growth. He then went out to Wall Street Journal and published his manual, his AI layoff rubric. And what he did was he put employees in 3 buckets, with 2 buckets being safe and 1 not. The 2 safe buckets were builders and sellers. Builders being people who produce products that customers want to pay for. Sellers being who help sell those products. He picked builders and sellers not because they are special, because in the AI era, AI will amplify what both of these produce. And as a result, they won't need less of these people. They actually need more people in the AI era. The 3rd bucket he called measurers. And this is where he put middle managers, support functions like internal compliance, operations, HR, marketing coordinators. And the rationale was that AI does their job continuously, without complaint, 24/7, cheaper, and without ego or error. He published this in Wall Street Journal, and when he publishing it, to defend himself, he said he went back to research from legendary management thinker Peter Drucker. Now, this is where it gets fun. He referenced Peter Drucker's book from 1954. We are in 2026. So almost 80 years ago, he said that is how Peter Drucker had categorized people into these buckets and why this makes sense and what this is going to be the future. He claimed that this was his inspiration. I call it this was his defense. So why is that wrong? So let's start with the Peter Drucker thing. Yes, Peter Drucker said that in 1954, but it was cherry-picked. A different world of how products used to get made, how advertising happened, how communication happened, the whole nature of organizations drastically evolved. But almost 50 years later, just a couple of years before he passed away, in the late 90s, he said then something else. Having realized what had happened in bulk of the 20th century, he realized the biggest challenge is going to be in the 21st century around knowledge worker productivity, and that requires that employees are given autonomy and they're not treated as people told what to do and what their value is. They're brought in as partners into the process, because he understood that just putting labels on people, labels that people did not choose but were chosen on them as a surprise by their CEO, is not what's going to work for knowledge worker productivity, because it's not the same as manual worker productivity that was happening in the 20th century. It is very different. The nature of work is very different. So first of all, I feel this reference, and I see many others in tech making reference to 1950s work, is faulty. Just go read through what Peter Drucker was saying towards the end, close to the end of his life. Second point, right at the same time that Peter Drucker said in 1999, in 1998, a very popular animation movie came out called Ants. And in the starting scene, there's an ant sitting with a therapist explaining how ants have been put into labels of different types of work, and he doesn't feel he fits into any one of them, and he's thinking about what else should he do in his life. He's representing the modern day knowledge worker. And these ants have been put into labels because there's one major general ant who wants to get people classified into buckets and then kill all the worker ant population and get rid of them. That is the worker ant trap. That what Cloudflare CEO is evangelizing is when you get put into buckets that you did not even choose, that you feel like you're safe, do not fall for this. I looked on LinkedIn for Cloudflare employees who were openly talking about their layoffs. A lot of them were engineers. They include one person who is actually one of the top person on AI, who actually got AI to be deployed inside Cloudflare as well. Don't really buy that producers and sellers were saying. And here's the second point that proves this. Most mid-career professionals were sold this path that as you grew as individual contributors in your career, the real next path to growth is to get into middle management. The middle management path was a growth path that people had to align to, because as you grew in your career and you're like, what else do I do? If you happen to be an engineer in tech, you had more leeway, and as a retention mechanism not to lose you, you'd get put into these middle management roles, and so that you feel like you're growing and you're managing other people. For non-technical, as we grew, we were expected to grow and take on these leadership roles. There were few who actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I loved leadership. Most did not pick these categories. The categories chose them. These categories were given after the fact. And lastly, isn't the CEO and his entire C-suite themselves in the measurer bucket? Because aren't that what they're doing? They're measuring. Or are they every day going in, writing code, producing, and in there with the customers, selling, putting AI agents in there, designing the agents themselves? I don't really buy this. Let's get to the second part of this video. We're going to do some myth busting using research that I've worked with over the years. Peter Drucker's work, mentioned by CEOs in the 1950s. Peter Drucker in the late 90s did a U-turn. There's this research from researchers from Iceland. They looked back in 2017 on all the popular management literature around knowledge worker productivity, including what Peter Drucker had said in the late 90s. And then they also looked at top self-help books as well, published and sold on Amazon around knowledge worker productivity. I leveraged this research for myth busting in my own work. It helped me through figuring out productivity through the pandemic, post-pandemic, and thinking about AI. And what we're just seeing with what the CEO just published, it's expected. Here's why. What the researchers found were that there are two types of productivity systems that are in tension with each other. The first system is the organization's point of view of a knowledge worker, and it looks at the knowledge worker as a source of knowledge that needs to be captured. The main value we have of this knowledge worker is as long as we can extract knowledge that we can convert into business value. So basically thinking of the knowledge worker as a food delivery person. As long as they keep delivering their order, they are good. And then as AI comes in, we will get rid of the worker because they have no more knowledge to carry for us. Almost all management literature has been focused on this system. CEOs are trained to think of individuals as extractive, that they're as good as what we can extract out of them as knowledge. There's a second system, mostly covered in self-help books. This second system is those people who've actually practiced leadership or led companies, and then they realize that the first system does not work. You can't predict what will they produce. We're not producing widgets. We're producing code, creative work, and the process for that is very different. The best thing you could do is give everything that an individual needs that helps them to do their best work, and then give them the right environment and give them guidance on what you want to get delivered, and then hope that some of the work may get to waste, but some work may be really good. Some work may drive value for you. It's looking at the individual from the individual's needs and what do they need physically, socially, cognitively, emotionally, and help them build self-awareness around them. It looks at the individual not as a worker ant, but looks at the individual as a human. So in my work with leaders, helping myth bust that the system one does not work, system two that works. And as we had to more and more during the pandemic, distributed work, and then post-pandemic when AI kicks in, thing is majority of the CEOs were brought up and they believe in system one, but from a PR perspective, had to act a certain way because really good, authentic leaders who thought about system two as a way to drive value both for business and also in society, they were attracting talent and building innovative businesses. A lot of the other CEOs had to just play along. And in my work, I predicted that the moment AI comes in, most CEOs are going to take their mask off. They're going to flip back to system one and say, hey, this is what works. The other one is what they were forced to do it, but they didn't want to. They felt like employees are entitled. They felt like why should we be serving them? They should be serving us. And the moment AI comes in, CEOs feel like the ball is in their court and it's going to be in there forever. So how does this help? Now what? You cannot opt out of system one. That is being defined by CEOs, and almost every company is going to be doing that. What you can do is build system two for yourself right now, and then look for companies that think in the way of system two. System one is extractive, system two is regenerative. So what the research showed on system two and how it works is knowledge workers have four types of needs. There's a physical need of what do we need from our energy perspective, our life responsibilities. There's a social need that we come to work, we connect with the right people, we learn from them, we also make friends from them. They become part of our network for our future career opportunities. There's a cognitive need that we get to work that helps us increase our skills, increase our thinking. And then lastly, emotional, understanding that humans go through different stages in their life and understand that you have to take care of them. They're not just machines who are going to constantly producing widgets, and you get rid of them when they're struggling with any one of these needs. We saw that during the pandemic, where your physical needs, your cognitive, emotional, social needs all collided. Middle managers were the people who stepped up and said, we're going to take care of people while taking care of the business, while taking care of their own needs. And they stood out. But they're the first people who got cut before AI and now during this AI time as well. The idea for a company that's going to take care and build this system to regenerative. I speak to other leaders who think about this as well. We're still looking for that right company and environment. Understand that the research says this is what works long term for the individual and the company's wealth and health to be balanced. Start building your system. Look at your four personal resources. These are the resources that are your fuel tanks that AI cannot refill. If you tried aligning to putting yourself in a bucket that the CEOs want you to be in, those buckets are going to further burn you out and take more fuel out of each of these resources. You don't need to be a builder, seller, or measure, or whatever next category the next CEO comes up with, because they're going to keep changing categories. You did not choose the category, they made the category choose you. Your immediate next step, what you should be doing is AI is going to be here. That is going to be the foundation for how the world is going to work. Be your own builder and seller of your measure services. What do I mean by that? You already have domain expertise. You have life expertise as well in managing other people. Don't let a CEO tell you that middle management is not required. That is going to be required even more so as humans and AI work together. Think about your four resources: physical, cognitive, social, emotional. Based on where you are right now, what do you need? Then think about what you hold as an asset is the expertise, the wisdom you've carried through life and the work you've done. Start putting AI into your domain. First, start off that how does AI give me leverage? How it improves me managing my own resources across these four areas. I'm burned out. I have responsibilities at home. I'm going through a personal time that I don't have the energy to actually think about work a certain way. See how AI can help you, right? First. And then do that in a way that you are also thinking, okay, how can I systemize this into my life and work that it helps me take care of my resources? Start building AI credibility in your field by bringing AI into your workflows and make sure you showcase them. If you do them inside of work, where your employer is saying, be a producer or seller or else, anything you put in, you won't be able to take it away with you. So use AI inside of your workplace to save yourself time, save yourself from grudge work, save yourself from anything that is impacting and sucking out your physical, cognitive, social, emotional resource. Outside of work, apply AI to your domain, practice it, learn it, and then showcase it so you can build your credibility, that you can apply AI in your domain and you have something to showcase. The real AI credibility is not going to be these random buckets that CEOs put in at whim. It is going to be who is the person who knows their domain and they've applied AI and have been able to talk about it, teach others. You do not need to be a technical person. I've learned from my work that the non-technical are the ones who hold value there. The measures are the ones who are going to be the right builders and sellers. There's a reason why engineers and product people have this term now, the forward deployed engineer. that if we now understand being close to the customer, what do they actually need? Hey, that should have been from day one. That's how I was trained in my career, to always think about the end customer value. You should be doing that anyways, but they have these fancy new titles. The measurer is going to be the builder and seller. So you figure out that for your measurer domain, what is it? How do you bring AI into it and do it outside of work? Apply it, publish it, whatever domain comes natural to you, whether it's text, whether it's video, in communities, and build your own portfolio. That is what's going to help you stand out. That's what's going to help you sought after. And whatever you build outside, you're able to carry it with you, because that is your own one-person AI business. All right. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe, as I am going to be doing more of these on productivity in coming weeks. Thank you and bye.